with Tim Krupa, the Liberal Party candidate in the riding of Kelowna Lake Country. Tim, your first election campaign. Why did you decide to throw your hat into politics?
Yeah, I mean, this is my hometown. This is where I grew up. This is our community. And I think right now when I look at the threats that are facing our community in terms of climate change and COVID and the impacts they're having on our economy, I think our representation could be better. And I want to be a representative who takes action on climate change, who will help encourage vaccination to get us out of the pandemic so that we can rebuild our local economy and get our small businesses back on track. So really I'm stepping up because I think we could use stronger representation in Kelowna Lake Country.
I'll use a phrase, I know you'll use a different phrase, parachute candidate. You are working in Toronto with, I believe, a company called CPP Investments. Are you planning to, if you do win the election, make Kelowna your home, or you can continue to work out there? What's that game plan?
Yeah, so this is my home. This is where I grew up. I graduated from Casorso, KLO, Kelowna Secondary School, UBC Okanagan. And I think like a lot of folks, I went out to continue my education. I studied at Oxford, and I got a job at the Canada Pension Plan to invest for Canadians and to secure a strong financial future, especially for our seniors. And now when I see kind of our representation at home right now, I think it could be improved. And so this is my home. I'm here all the time. I don't own a property or rent any property anywhere else. This is my home. This is where my parents live. This is where my brother lives. And I want to build my future here. And so I'm really excited by the opportunity to step up and serve our community because I think we could use stronger representation.
So you're saying that your employment allows you to work out of home from Kelowna, or?
Yeah, exactly. And in COVID, kind of work from home flexibility, but also I've taken an unpaid leave of absence in July so that I can focus full time on the campaign, on meeting voters, door knocking every day, working really hard. Yeah, and I think what's unfortunate is kind of these, my opponent can kind of focus on these personal attacks. But what I'm going to do is stay focused on the issues that matter to our community. Issues like climate change, that's arrived on our doorsteps. And we have an MP who hasn't taken this issue seriously. Things like vaccines. I've been vaccinated, and I've encouraged others to do so that we can get back to work and protect our loved ones. And we have a member of parliament here right now who hasn't said whether she's been vaccinated and hasn't encouraged anyone to get vaccinated. To me, those two issues, extreme weather and COVID, are what's holding our businesses back right now. So I'm going to stay focused on the issues, on our health, on our lives, and on our economy, and they can keep making the personal attacks. That's okay.
When you talk about the vaccinations of MP Gray, do you think it's necessary for a politician to step up that way, or is privacy an issue here? Does it have to? I mean, it can't be both ways. Obviously.
Yeah. What I would say is when we're talking about vaccines, when we step back, what we're really talking about is lives and our economy. And if we're going to have good leadership to encourage others to get vaccinated because of all the options available, this is the strongest one for us to get our lives back to normal so that we can safely reopen our schools, our businesses, our community. And I think what that requires is leadership by example. And so for our leaders, we've seen that leadership from the city, from the mayor, from council, in Kelowna, and in Lake Country. But we haven't seen that same leadership from our federal representative. And I think it's unfortunate because I think that's holding our community back right now from moving forward.
The provincial government has come out with mandatory proof of vaccination for entry into different activities, different businesses such as restaurants, bars, sporting events, concerts, etc. Is it time for the federal government to do something similar on a larger scale than they already are with transportation and the federal workforce?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that what you described, the restaurants and some of the local measures are up to the provinces and the municipalities. I think what the federal government's done has been quite strong in terms of requiring public servants working in Ottawa and those traveling to be vaccinated. I think that's the right move. I think that's going to help us reopen our communities safely. And unfortunately, we have Aaron O'Toole and his Conservative team, including Tracy Gray, haven't been as strong on the issue in terms of encouraging vaccination. And I think that's putting lives at risk. I think about the most vulnerable in our society, especially our seniors and our frontline workers, folks who can't afford to stay home from work, working as farmers, servers, cashiers. That's putting their health at risk. And I think this is quite serious and we need to do more about it.
One of the issues we do hear from the City of Kelowna, from the mayor, from council, from the general public is social issues within the city, including mental health, including affordable housing, supportive housing. This country has been lacking a federal housing strategy for years. We hear about it at election time from many parties, but we don't really see the trickle down during a time in office. What do we need to do, or what will the Liberal Party do and actually do for a housing strategy for those that need housing and a housing supply?
I think you're right. I think making housing more affordable is a top priority for me personally in terms of my advocacy, because my generation especially has borne the brunt of housing policies of the past and the way the market's gone, us not being able to enter it, and those who are less fortunate and haven't been able to enter the housing market themselves. And so what the Liberal plan is, I think, is quite strong and quite bold. So first, we're going to stop foreign buyers from being able to purchase homes for the next 2 years. We're creating a rent-to-own program so that those like me who don't have the down payment available now can save that up over a 5-year period to eventually own our home while we rent it. There are a number of other measures, including a new Bill of Rights to stop things like blind bidding. And that's going to protect Canadians and help us enter the home market in the future. There are other initiatives too, like the Rapid Housing Initiative, where it's federal money that's been set aside. And what I want to do, if elected, is work with our municipality and with our provincial government to help advocate for that funding to come to Kelowna so that we can build more affordable housing. Because I think we've seen the impact of having a strong voice at the table. When we had a Liberal MP here, Steve Fuhr, a lot of investment flowed into the region. Things like Rails for Trails, UBC Okanagan Buildings and Research, flood mitigation, water system improvements at the Innovation Center, multi-generational facilities. There's a very long list. But in the past 2 years, not having a strong voice at the table has unfortunately led to less investment and fewer results for our community. So I want to be a strong advocate for our community in Ottawa.
What about for our most vulnerable, those that can't afford a place to rent, and around the streets, partly because there is nothing, and what do you do for those folks?
Yeah, I think it's imperative that we work with all 3 levels of government, and this is something that that makes me sad, and I think should be all of our focus, is the most vulnerable in our society. I think that's how we should measure our progress in policy and in office, is by what we do for them. My sister's a BC family doctor, and hearing her stories and in her work, working with the most vulnerable in our society, we know that this isn't a choice. Oftentimes it's the environments of folks who grow up in situations of mental illness and abuse, and we need to have their backs.
Tim, I want to give you an opportunity to look in the camera, speak directly to your constituents or potential constituents, and give us your best pitch. Why Tim Krupa on September 20th?
Thank you. My name's Tim Krupa. I'm 30 years old. This is my hometown. This is where I grew up. And I'm running for Parliament because I believe we could use stronger representation. I think right now our representation's falling short on climate change, on COVID, and on our local economy, and on creating an inclusive society for everyone. These are issues that I believe passionately about. I want to fight for climate change. I want to get our community back to work, and I want to create a diverse, inclusive society for us all. So I'd love to earn your trust. I'll be around the community the next month working really hard, and thank you very much.